How's it going, fight fans? Welcome to Mindful Combat. If you're new to the channel, my name's Orhan, and this is my platform where I do MMA and boxing related content. If you're new here, why don't you help me grow my platform? All you have to do is hit that subscribe button, like the video if you like it, dislike it if you don't, and maybe get involved in the conversation in the comment section below. With that said, this is a fight that I'm very excited to break down, and it's the upcoming women's bantamweight world title fight between the women's all-time great Amanda Nunes as she looks to defend her belt against the former featherweight world champion, the current lineal featherweight champion as well, in Germaine de Randamie. It's a very interesting fight. It's actually a rematch. The first fight that Amanda Nunes took her down and finished her, and this is in a lot of ways a super fight if you would think about it, because Germaine de Randamie, whatever you think about her, whether you like her, dislike her, whatever you want to say about her, she's a former world championship fighter who won a world title in the UFC in a main event. She never lost her belt. She vacated it because, she got stripped of it because she refused to fight Cyborg, and I know that was cowardly, but if we take into the fact that she never lost the belt in the ring and has gone on to win fights since then, and she's fighting a woman who's got 2 world titles, and actually a woman who's gone on to pick up the world title that she vacated, this should be a very, very interesting fight. It's a very interesting place for Germaine de Randamie to be, because public perception on her has completely changed over the last few years after she vacated her belt. She's not a very liked fighter at all, and because of that, she maybe doesn't get the credit that she deserves as a top tier fighter, and this is a very logical fight for the UFC to have made. So without any further ado, let's go into the Taylor tape and let's break this fight down. Amanda Nunes is still a young lady, despite everything that she's achieved in the game, despite being recognized as the greatest of all time, despite having 2 world titles, multiple title defenses. She's still only 31 years old. That makes her 4 years younger than the challenger, Germaine de Randamie, who's 35 years old, and that's something that we should remember coming into the fight, because Germaine de Randamie is not a very active fighter as well. She fights probably about once a year. I think this is going to be the only time she's fought twice in the calendar year since about 2013, 2012, and that's a ridiculous long time for her to only be fighting once a year. But Germaine de Randamie has had a long, extensive career in kickboxing as well, so age has to be a factor coming into the fight. Amanda Nunes has a professional mixed martial arts record of 18 wins and 4 losses. She, of course, finds herself on a 9-fight win streak, opposing Germaine de Randamie, who has a 9-win and 3 losses record, who finds herself on a 5-fight win streak. That's very interesting. They could both ride a lot of momentum coming into this fight. Amanda Nunes stands at 5'8", which makes her 1 inch shorter than the challenger, who is 5'9". And the fact that Germaine de Randamie is going to want to keep this fight standing up, that is a very interesting metric to remember, because she'll want to use every inch of size that she has to her advantage. Amanda Nunes has a 69-inch reach, as opposed to Germaine de Randamie, who has a 71-inch reach. So that puts her at a 2-inch reach disadvantage, along with being an inch shorter than her as well. And that's something that we need to remember in this. As I mentioned, Germaine de Randamie is going to want to strike in this fight, so she's going to want to utilize every bit of size that she has on Amanda Nunes. With that said, let's talk about their styles. Now, Amanda Nunes, over the last few years, has really shined in her beautiful stand-up. She's got brutal knockout power. She's one of the most devastating finishers in the history of women's MMA. She finishes all the fighters she fights. Got huge punching power, brutal leg kicks. She's just a really all-round crisp fighter, and actually she's got a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Judo, and earlier in her career, she was just a tank. She used to take women down and elbow them into oblivion up until she would win. So that's something we shouldn't forget about Amanda Nunes, is that she has that in her repertoire. If she wants to become a grappler, she can become a grappler in this fight. And Germaine de Randamie is most certainly a striker. She's going to want to strike and use her polished stand-up. Her polished stand-up, where she went undefeated as a professional kickboxer and even knocked out a man. Guys can watch that on YouTube. It's actually very, very funny. But with that said, let's get into their key wins. With Germaine de Randamie, we'll start with her because it'll be a lot shorter. She's got obviously 2 good wins since coming back down to bantamweight over the likes of Aspen Ladd, who was a heavily touted undefeated prospect in that main event fight, and Raquel Pennington. But over at featherweight, she also beat Holly Holm in that controversial fight, and I know a lot of people are undecided on whether or not she should have been given that win, but she has got that win on her ledger. Amanda Nunes has wins over Germaine de Randamie herself. She's beaten the likes of Sarah McMahon in her rise to the title contention. She's beaten Valentina Shevchenko, one of the best women's fighters in the world today and of all time, in my opinion, not once but twice. She took out Miesha Tate, she took out Ronda Rousey, took out Raquel Pennington herself, and of course she took out the great Chris Cyborg, and that is one hell of a record and resume. Definitely the woman's got coming into this fight. Issues for this fight and for Amanda Nunes is definitely going to be motivation. At this stage, with everything she's achieved in her career, what does she have left to do? Why is she still doing it? And as the fight goes on, we haven't seen her cardio tested like that in a long time. And I know she went 5 rounds with Shevchenko, but the Random is a more offensive fighter than Shevchenko, that means that she's got to have a more offensive fighter. That means that Nunes has got to be working harder. How will she carry that? Because she has been known to gas earlier in her career. For Jermaine Random, the issue is going to be inactivity. Like I said, she only been fighting once a year, and her ground game, there's huge holes around that, and Amanda Nunes can no doubt exploit those holes in her ground game. So that's something very interesting for us to think about. The X factor for Amanda Nunes is going to be the previous win that she has over Jermaine Random. She definitely carries some rent in her head with that one. There's no way she doesn't, especially the way that fight ended. And her wrestling and all-round game is her X factor. For Jermaine Random, is going to be a polished stand-up. Let's get into the prediction. Honestly, I feel like this is not that hard for me to pick, and I say that very cautiously because I recognize I may end up with egg in my face after saying that, because I may look like a fool now. But I feel like Amanda Nunes wins this fight pretty handily. I feel like Amanda Nunes is the better fighter. She's proven she's the better, well-rounded mixed martial artist. And actually, as time gone on, I believe that Amanda Nunes is even going to be able to hang and maybe even pick her apart or get her on the feet. I feel that Jermaine Random isn't in this fight without a hope. She has the opportunity to be able to do damage on the feet. She's actually a very skilled striker, and she may be able to give Amanda Nunes a lot of trouble. I don't see it playing out that way. I feel like if she does give Amanda Nunes trouble, she's going to find herself fighting off Amanda Nunes from taking her down, and I feel like she'll struggle. Amanda Nunes can do it all. Fight fans, I feel like Amanda Nunes will eventually take this fight down, and she will beat her down on the floor. She'll give her trouble on the feet, and she'll even... I just see that Amanda Nunes is going to cleanly dominate this fight. So fight fans, for my official prediction for this one, I'm going with Amanda Nunes to get either the unanimous decision or a late stoppage after Jermaine Random just can't take no more, and retain her belt and re-cement her place as the greatest women's fighter of all time. Anyways, fight fans, I'll be very interested to know your take on this fight in the comment section below. Let me know how you guys see this fight going, and let me know if you guys rate Jermaine Random's chances in this fight higher than I'm giving her opportunity to win this fight anyway. Thank you for watching, guys. I'm Rohan, and this is Mindful Combat. If you're new to the channel, remember, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Thank you.